We can't do our, we now I have to do this though.
Yeah, I guess we gotta go like this. Yeah, we do this weird thing at the
This,
beginning, and that was it. But with that said, welcome to the Spark Gap. I'm David Groom, often known as iShot JR. My regular host Kelly is also here with me, and we have a special guest below her, whose desk we're also gazing at currently. Ubi DeFeo. Ubi, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'll be as brief as I'm able to. I'm not really like a short words person. I'm Ubi Defeo. I consider myself a hybrid designer. I originate as a programmer. Officially, at the end of the '90s, were like programming websites in the early days, and then I got into several technologies over the years. In 2007, I bumped into Massimo Banzi by accident, the founder of Arduino, and I started looking into Arduino and teaching Arduino right away with Massimo. And since 2018, after many years working in advertising, the creative space, installations, and so on, I landed at Arduino, and I've been covering several roles ranging from marketing to just creating installations and a software owner. And at this very moment, I'm the one of the product managers on physical products. So there isn't much that I can really tell about. David knows a lot, but I'm more into the physical product design and execution right now.
thank you for
Awesome.
being here.
Thank you for
So
having me.
thank you, everyone. So just to remind viewers of the context, or if you haven't watched the show before, the idea that we're working on right now is Kelly, who is an amazing artist and also has been forced to become an electrical engineer, had this notion of sort of conversational hardware. She had to develop all sorts of expertise in order to create the visions that she had. But really, I'm speaking for you, Kelly, but I feel like you didn't really want to learn that stuff. You just had to in order to execute the ideas that were in your head. And so the thing that we're talking about is, well, what if you could skip all that stuff and just have an idea and talk to the hardware in normal language and have it, the example we keep coming back to is animate LED, an RGB LED matrix with a wave animation. So it looks like waves are undulating on an LED matrix is kind of the concept that we've been considering as sort of like, if we can do it, if we can get it to do that, that's like a good milestone that we've proven. So
yeah. I just want to add real quickly, that's an excellent summary, but there really are two things. And Ubi, I would love for you to talk to this as well as you're moving through. One is that things that computers do well, and when I say computers, I also include any form of hardware, so Arduino, things that computers do well and they make easy, like let's make them as easy as possible. In other words, what can we do with large language models to have an interface that makes my job as an artist easier so I can just have a conversation with the computer and it's like, oh yeah, I get that, blink an LED or do pulse width modulation or do hue shifting of color. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's done regularly. It shouldn't be so hard. That's number one. Number two, though, which I don't want to leave off the table, is since the beginning of time, artists have been the members of society who ask the deepest questions. And a huge part of that is understanding media. What is it? How is it transforming me? How is it transforming my culture? What does it mean in terms of my own, spiritual development as a person? So at this moment, as AI is becoming greater and greater onto the scene, if you could just speak about that when you have opportunities about, yes, while I want my technology to just be easier and do what I say, I also want to have the ability when I want to understand what is my technology, what's going on in there, what is a large language model, what is AI, how can I think about that as an artist? So
awesome. And before we dive into any deep discussions, I just wanted to explain, and the reason I invited Ubi on today is because we'd been exploring some of these concepts on our own. We had the idea of sort of having a small an SBC like a Raspberry Pi or something with an LLM on it that could be the thing you talk to, and then having a microcontroller like an Arduino being the thing that interfaces with the LEDs or whatever the hardware is. And we're sort of trying to prototype this idea in bits and pieces. And so we tried a couple of things, just talking to Copilot, trying to get it to write some code for microcontrollers. Didn't work super great in Python, which I thought would be the easiest way because it was doing Circuit Python instead of MicroPython.
And it makes shit up.
Yeah, it makes stuff up. And we had a little bit better results with C++, I think. And but Ubi is way better at MicroPython, way more into all this stuff than I am. So after our sort of fumblings around, I thought, you know who the person is that's been, way into MicroPython, way into playing with LLMs, like all these pieces. I just like, oh, we got to get Ubi on here. And so after our kind of poor results with our own experiments, I want to see what Ubi can get done with the same ideas.
Okay, cool. So how do you want me to start? Do you want me to start talking about what a microcontroller is, or like, have you been there already?
I think we've been there already. I think what I'm interested in is when I described what we were trying to do, you said, "Oh, we can do that in 30 seconds. What are we going to do with the rest of the show?"
Pretty much.
I don't know if you want to get that.
Yeah, I think. Okay. Yeah, I would say, Ubi, if we can just start with, like, show us how we can use the easiest possible interface to get a piece of hardware to do what we want it to do.
Okay, fantastic. This is pretty much my realm. I've been teaching physical computing to designers and artists mostly for a huge chunk of the past 20 years. So as someone who doesn't have any like formal studies as a background, like I'm a dropout. I dropped out after 1 year engineering because I really loved partying and being social more than I loved chemistry and stuff. And I used to be a social animal. Nowadays, not much. Nowadays, I'm super selective. So I ended up discovering code, and code was fascinating to me. But I was like stuck on the mechanics of code. But I had the amazing luck of ending up working with some web designers at the end of the 90s that had creative ideas. And while I loved, for instance, concentrating on backend, which is solid data, I extracted, I put it on a table, it's square, it's beautiful. These people were like, yeah, but what if this data gets translated into something pretty? And it hit a nerve, because for me it was like, why do you want to make pretty stuff? This is functional stuff. But the artsy aspects of these people rubbed on me so much that I ended up building visual installations, and I became a visual programmer in Flash. And I became someone who could transform the ideas of a creative into code to make it interactive. So for me, I loved it. I think for me, it was like a great foundation, and I'm still friends with these people. I have a lot of work in my portfolio from my pre-screen years, but suddenly I found that the screen was kind of a limitation for me. I could put pixels on screen, but I wanted to interact with the physical world, and that's how I ended up. Yes, that's how I ended up with this. And when I met Massimo, for me, it's been like a U-turn, and it was eye-opening because I had tried to get into electronics, but we're talking about 2005, right? Like the word open source hardware didn't even exist. So open source software was like very boring Java stuff. That was it. And for me to get my hands on something like this, I remember I told Massimo, I said, I don't want to come to the workshop because I'm going to be like shy and awkward and I have no idea what to do. And it was like, everyone is the same, so just come over. And I started with something more complex. I ended up doing C, but 3 years ago, after about 15 years of teaching only C and C++ Arduino to students, I realized that artists and designers in 2020 should not be dealing with the brutality of a C++ compiler error, because it's I gotta say, and I understand those errors, but they're violent. So
Yeah.
on a like teaching to designers, to people who have no prior experience in code, I decided that we needed something easier, and that something easier was already there. And some actors in the scene have done beautiful advancements in the world of Python on microcontrollers. And I'm talking about Adafruit and their Circuit Python.
Yeah.
I think, they did a fantastic job of putting things together.
Yeah, they're great.
They did a really, really good job. But I will never go Circuit Python, because Circuit Python steers away from MicroPython as it is, so the original project, and it brings in a lot of customizations which are great for the final user, but not for me. I want to contribute to the main core of the game. So as an open source contributor, I want to contribute to the core technology, and this core technology can be brought back into all the other projects. So
Ubi, can I interrupt you for just a second?
Please.
So I think I love that you're so keen on helping designers. Thank you. It's a huge service, and we need more people like you. I don't think most artisan designers even understand the distinction in the languages that you're describing.
Oh, but it doesn't.
And maybe it doesn't matter, but I will say that over the years, as technology it's just accelerating so much, and there's always something new, and there's a new language and whatever, it can get really exhausting for a creative to be like, oh, now I have to learn this, now I have to learn that. So can you just maybe state again, why you've chosen a specific language and how you would advise an artist to think about the choices that they are making, not just in the languages, but in the hardware, so that they don't have this, yes, a C++ compiler error is brutal, but it's also brutal to learn Python and then have 1 year later the world say, oh, now you have to learn Java. And it's like, come on, I'm trying to be an artist.
Your point comes across, and I understand it. What I can tell you is that MicroPython and Python in general, they're very old languages. And I do not necessarily believe that any particular language is the best at anything. Sure. It's really whatever, some people might like to make code using block-based in the browser. They drag little blocks of logical operations and they make green, red, yellow things, which I personally don't like, because I like to write code. But it doesn't matter the tool as long as it gets you to the result. So because I need to teach designers how to program interactions, I choose something that is easier on the let's call it not code. Not to a person not familiar with code in general. So what I do, I usually start with this thing that I always tell my students is, I don't want to turn you into an engineer or a programmer. I want you to like computers enough that you're gonna want to talk to them.
And for you, that language where you feel most familiar is Python.
Nowadays it is, but it's because it's MicroPython. It's not necessarily Python. Okay. So I can, you've tried to do some Arduino in your life, and you've seen that sometimes you make an error, then you get some orange text at the bottom, and you have no clue what it is. And I've been there for so many years until I understood. So what I wanted to do with my students, I wanted them to understand the technology that we were working with. All right. So at Arduino, we use we develop a lot of software and we develop a lot of hardware. Oh, and by the way, I'm not here as an Arduino representative, but because this kind of project is the outcome of my interest towards teaching this concept, I can do it on Arduino. So I bring these tools with me. And honestly, like I use this editor every day. So this is the editor that I use for my MicroPython needs. What I really like is that he generates some crazy names. Like now I have a grotesque rye. I'm gonna close it. This is a naive bearberry. So anyway, we created a tool together with this incredible, talented designer, Murilo Polese. And we created this editor, which is supposed to be easy and something that when you open it up, it just needs to not to scare you away, right? So in this case, I have an Arduino board connected. It can be, MicroPython is supported by so many boards. Like there's like a huge list of compatible hardware. So you don't need to use this, but I like this because it's reasonably cheap. It's got Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So the first thing that I do,
Ruby,
yeah.
Not to be annoying, but for
Please.
me, when it pops up naivebearberry.py and I have no idea where that came from, I'm already scared.
Are you? But like
Just
my
saying.
students,
I'm like, what is that?
but it's something to have fun with, to be honest. Like I can close this and that.
Okay, but just saying, like for an artist, I'm saying like, because there are so many things that happen that we don't understand when something pops up and it's like not explainable.
It isn't explainable.
Just saying.
No, you have every right to raise this this concern, and this is why I believe that artists and designers, they should study with a mentor. So like the first step, like I think that everyone needs to be taken by their hand when they start something. If I'm not able to sculpt, so I would look for a friend who has this ability to teach me how to hold the tool. And once I learn to hold the tool, then I can mess things up and break things. But then my muscle memory will get better and better and better, and then I can become the artist that I want to become. So I believe
think that's
that
an absolutely excellent point, 100%. So this isn't what I'm saying, a criticism of Arduino or Python or anything.
No, absolutely.
It's just also to point out though, and this is just a timely comment, that because AI is the large language models are drawing conclusions that not even the designers of AI understand how they arrived at the conclusion. Explainability has become like a technical field. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the trust issues that are growing in the creative community at large. So I just want to reiterate that while it's important to have a mentor, 100%, and build community, and that's what, the Spark app is all about. We really need some ground rules to help trust each other and trust technology. Okay.
Yes. Of course. I mean, you know exactly what you're talking about, and that's fantastic. It's, I don't put my full trust into the tools, but I like to test the water. I like to see what it can happen. So let's say that you're one of my students and you're just, you're starting your first day with me. So I tell you, okay, I want to talk to this little computer and I want this little computer to do things for me. In order, like this computer doesn't have ears, doesn't have eyes. I need to find a way to convey my my message and talk to the computer in a language that it understands. So I always assume that if you like a person, you want to talk to a person. You might like them for whatever reason, because of their work, because of their arts, because of their, I don't know, looks, because they have a funny accent, right? So you want to talk to them and you want to talk in their language. If I met an artist who is, I don't know, like what is the word? Like as an what do you call it? As an impairment with their hearing, right? They cannot hear me.
Jeff.
How do I talk to this person? I need to learn sign language. There's no way out of it. So if I like somebody, I will try to connect in a way. To talk to a computer, the computer understands text. So the reason why I chose MicroPython is because it reminds me of when I started, and it's like I talk into a little box. I write my own thoughts, and this little computer will answer to me. So the first thing that I want to do, I want to connect with my little computer. And on my computer, you saw some weird text. On most users' computer, you see one entry. So if you see, I have a bunch of text here that I do not understand. I have no clue what this means. It says, oh, roll REPL, control B, whatever. It's like, are you an alien? I'm trying to get to know you, but I see a cursor. And when I see a cursor, I can type, right? So I want to say,
you think,
hi.
Oh God, please don't let me erase my hard drive.
Oh, I've been there the third day of my first computer. So I'm talking to a computer. I try to say hi, but a computer doesn't really understand human language. I need to learn their language. And the computer's language is numbers. So I got an error to hi. It says hi isn't defined. But I got no error with 3. And I get no error with 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1, I'm talking to a computer. A computer computes, puts numbers together, does things with numbers. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Let's see, 3 times 2 is 6. But I want to say something. And I look at what it said to me. And it said, the name hi isn't defined. And I start exploring, and I copy this. And I paste it here. And I say hi, and it replies, hi. Is it a reply? What are you doing with me, computer? Are you joking? Are you making fun of me? Why didn't you understand it before? I always invite my students to play talking to a computer. So if I meet somebody that speaks Icelandic, we may connect by, I don't know, songs by Bjork's first album. Right? Because I love Bjork and they do understand the language. So I want to try and play with this kid.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, I mean, you're making so much sense and I feel very comfortable. Why isn't there an Ubi built into this interface? Why can't the computer? Because it's and this is a problem. Of course, humans are like this as well, right? So self-centered. I don't speak that language. This is my language. It's not even saying I don't speak your language. It's giving me some weird name error. What does that mean, right? Humans made this. They can make it friendlier.
Wait.
And this is the whole point about AI is when do we get to the point where the computer is hey, FYI, you're saying things that I don't understand. So let's find a common language. Let's have a conversation about where that common language lies.
There's
Not
lies, you said that
the truth, but you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean. So one of the things that I'm trying to play with is to make to train a model with many years of my code, many years of my projects. And I'm trying to understand. The problem is that I'm obsessive about things. So I need to better understand the technology. I use the tools and I want to get to that point. I want to get to talking about how I use, for instance, ChatGPT or Copilot. I don't really use Copilot a lot. I like ChatGPT because I can talk about everything. And now I'm trying to do this local thing with Olama. But anyway, there are many teachers who kind of align with my way, and possibly I align with them because some of them came before me. There is a way to make technology appealing to people who are not technologically inclined. And it's all in the mentor that you get. I am so fascinated with these machines, and I know that everyone can get fascinated if they get the right input and the right reason. If I don't have a reason to talk to a computer, I better not talk to a computer, right? Like if I have, not everybody needs to be a digital creator. I'm just blunt about it, right? And I form designers to be using technology, but I always tell them, say, this is not a race. You don't have to be. My courses do not have assignments and do not have grades. I grade the people, not the project. So if you are an incredible human, but your output is not super incredible, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I love everything you're saying, but I will push back and say that as time is evolving and AI is becoming more and more pervasive in every aspect of our culture, I actually do want everyone to feel like they could be a digital creator, at least to a certain degree, because no one should be left sitting on the sidelines feeling like they have no ability to control the technology that's increasingly infiltrating their lives. Just to say.
I am trying to be provocative about it. So when I say these things to my students, it's not because I say you should not be a digital creator. It's because that's the message is always, I want to try and make you like this thing. And once you like it, you are going to want to talk to it. Right? I have this approach. And to be honest, I am so proud of every single student that I had over the years, because the projects that they create coming out of their heads without my input are incredible. So I believe I'm a good mentor, and I always learn from my students. Like every year it gets better. So let's keep talking to this computer. This computer is kind of like not complaining to us anymore, right? But it's not fast, right? It's not something that is happening. So I start telling my student to play in here. When you create a new program here, you have this message. And don't worry about the name of the lasting Yeti. Like this text tells you this program was created in, and that's the name of the program that I installed. And it says print hello MicroPython. And I run it and it does print, okay, hello MicroPython. Then I'm going to say, well, hello, Kelly. And I have already made my first program and it does something. But I learned that I can add numbers, but I want it to say something. So I can do 3 + 1, but nothing happens, only the message. So I think about it and I say, maybe I have to print it. I'm kind of giving you a quick run of what I do with my students when they get on board. And I see a 4, so it means that this thing can actually print things for me. And you know what? I want to try something else. I want to try and just be, I want to dare. So print hello times 4. And wow, it did something. So now I'm here, but I want to learn. This is what my students do. So I teach them some things, and then some of them already, everybody knows that there's ChatGPT. So I had this thing this year. We used one of these screens to put some text on it in MicroPython. And I gave them the basics to do so. But once they had the text like hello world on this, one of my students said, I want to create something that tells stories in text, and I want it to generate words. So my student went to ChatGPT and did something like this. I have an OLED display, and using MicroPython, I want to show I don't know, 4 lines of, let's just say, I don't know, like, what's her name? What's her name? Like, oh my God, one singer, 4 lines of
Taylor Swift song.
Taylor
New York.
Swift. Yes,
New York.
Taylor Swift the song. Okay, so like, sure, to display text on an OLED using MicroPython, you'll need to have the necessary libraries to initialize it. And this thing is
Yes.
generating some code for me, right? And I don't know what this code does, but ChatGPT will explain me the code. And to be honest, it does a pretty good job, right, at doing it. So I'm a student, I'm an artist, I don't want to deal with this. I want to create art. So I have an option here. I'm going to copy my code and I'm just going to paste it here, right? So if you've used Arduino, what you have seen is something like this.
We can't see your editor right now, Ubi. We're just seeing the
Yeah.
chat.
Oh, yeah, it's the other, sorry.
There we go.
So like what I wanted to show you earlier was that I copied and pasted my code into this editor, right? So
Okay,
assume
yeah.
that you've been doing Arduino, and then you've done something like I don't know, print hello, and then this is the first moment of friction, right? You're a student. This is your first Arduino class. You want to print hello somewhere. You don't know where.
And just for context, you're flipping around kind of quickly. I just want to explain to people that this is the Arduino C editor.
Yes.
Not the MicroPython that we're looking at right now.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. So like there are two different languages, but usually, canonically, this is the first approach to physical computing that you had for 17 years, right? So you do this, then what do? You verify, well, let me hit this button, and I'm already being hit by a plethora of red lines, errors, hello was not declared in the scope, what is the scope, and stuff. So because these things are brutal to newcomers, I chose MicroPython that already allows me real time, without verifying, without like, it allows me to write code directly into the computer. Then the computer might complain because it said, hi there, and it will complain, but I'm already in the computer. In the classical Arduino C++, you have to write a program. It needs to compile successfully, which means it needs to be turned into a packet of information that then can work on the microcontroller. Then it needs to be uploaded. And it's like 3 steps. And the more links you have in a chain, the more frustration you hit when one of these 3 links is broken.
So I agree with all of that. But for me, when you go to the ChatGPT interface and you just type in like, I want you to write MicroPython code that prints Taylor Swift lyrics on an OLED screen, I'm like, cool, I understand that. That makes sense to me. And so ChatGPT does something, it gives me this code, which looks really good. And this is where David and I got super excited. We're like, oh, cool, it did it, right? And then we put it into whatever we were trying to control. And it was like, this doesn't work. So first,
okay,
my
let's
first
try.
question is, does the ChatGPT code work? And my second question is, once we get to Arduino, like when you switched, and this is not a criticism, I got lost.
You got lost because C++ is complicated. And I was kind of putting 2 things, that 2 separate worlds. I was trying to make a parallel. This was my frustration in the beginning, because I can write C++ and I can write MicroPython. But what I noticed is that when I switched from C++ to MicroPython, it became easier for me to have my students who have no prior knowledge to skip part of the frustration, which made their students' lives difficult.
Hard.
Let's use the word difficult. Okay. So let's say that now I leverage ChatGPT to write some code for me. Is it going to work? I don't know, because I trusted a machine whose knowledge comes from years of scraping the internet and stealing people's. This is like part of the ethical thing. So this thing has been learning code written by other people, written by users who were helping other users. So like the ethical dilemma, we're already facing it. We don't know how this large language model learned this. For sure, it didn't use any copyrighted material because it couldn't. But what if it could? So let's start from ChatGPT is trying to get me to do something. I have some code that I copy pasted brutally into this thing, and will it work? I don't know. I'm going to let me see. Like, what is the overhead camera?
So did you just copy paste exactly what it gave you? You
exactly what it gave.
It gave it. You're putting it exactly in. Okay, so this is what David did.
Yeah. So I have an OLED display. And I don't exactly know which model it is, but I'm just going to try because it's easy. I use this ecosystem of connectors called Grove, which makes my life a lot easier. And I'm going to connect the board on this like piece of, it's kind of like an adapter that I designed. And that is going to allow me to connect. Oh, please. Go in. Okay. To connect this display with this thingy here. Let's see. Now I have a board running MicroPython with an OLED display, and I'm going to try and see if what ChatGPT gave me is going to work. Blind trust. Run. Nope, there's no module named SSD 1306.
So you're vindicated, David. Okay, we're not the only
no, but wait. The beauty of this thing is that
it's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. It's so beautiful because you know what? We're talking the truth instead of pretending like everything is so easy.
But wait, what did ChatGPT actually say in the comments? Did it say that we need to go get this thing? If you scroll down and it says,
no, I don't. Honestly, I'm an artist. I don't know what it's telling me, but I know what my program says. So I'm gonna copy this.
Search.
So I'm gonna copy this and say,
"Hey, ChatGPT.
Hey, I got this as a response, and I don't know what I'm doing." It seems that the SD blah 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 library is not available. So it's actually giving me a link to download this thing.
Okay.
So should I trust it? I'm gonna try. From the micro, like I don't know.
New and exciting ways to erase your hard drive.
For me, this is like one of the best interactive things, because the more you interact with it, the better you can learn. And I can tell you one thing, like I do have this library, but I'm not certain that this display is the model that I'm expecting. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just say to ChatGPT, the OLED display that I have is made by Seed Studio, and it's Grove, let's say, OLED display 1.12. So like Grove OLED display 1.12. And again, I'm still the artist from before who has no idea. So
it's very hard for you to act like an artist who has no idea. I just want to say.
No, I'm role playing. Let's put it this way. I'm role
Yeah,
playing.
you're not very good at that.
No, oh dear. Look, I mean, I like one thing that I try to teach my students is to decode what they have in their hands. Like look at something, look at it. What does it say? Because be a little bit of a detective, because if you want to use something, there is probably something, there's like a clue somewhere. And what I found out is that it says, thank you for the information. It says the Seed Studio Grove uses the SH1107, which for me doesn't mean anything, but it tells me that you need a different library. So I can
you can't see your GBT screen.
Oops. Yeah, wait, because like I actually hit the wrong button here, and I don't know where my stuff is. Okay, so it's telling me that it's a different display and that I should download this library. The link to GitHub is actually old, so it couldn't find it, but I know that I can find this library. And you know where I can find it? I can find it in my libraries because I have it somewhere. Where is it? Well, you know what? I'm going to look for it. So I'm going to look for SH1107 MicroPython. And I found this. And it's a file. It's the file that ChatGPT was trying to link to. And I'm just going to download this file and copy it to my board. Right? Because ChatGPT told me you need this library, and it says upload it to your microcontroller. It's telling me to use some tools, but honestly, I have a visual tool which kind of like works for me. Downloads. I'm going to go to downloads. I'm going to pick up this file, and I'm going to copy it to my MicroPython folder. We're almost there. I'm doing something off screen just to copy a file into my library.
Okay.
Sorry?
Go, Kelly.
I was just going to say, this reminds me of going all over the internet in search of footprints for my PCB, my printed circuit board designs.
Yeah. I mean, look, honestly, I always believe that internet is our best friend when we want to find stuff. And like learning the ABC, like since internet became a thing, is look for stuff and like just explore, be your own little detective, and you will learn. Like thanks to the internet, you can learn everything. So now you have more powerful tools. You have a GPT, but you also have, where is my thing? It disappeared. So like, chatgpt.com. You have all these tools that you can learn from, right? So
yeah.
Let's go here. I have my library. I have this SH11 something. I'm going to upload it to my board so that it should work eventually. I'm following ChatGPT's instructions, by the way. So
don't you need to put it in the lib folder, or does it not matter?
The beauty of Python is that you can put it pretty much everywhere as long as your program can see it.
Cool.
So now I have my library, and you know what? I'm going to try this again, and I should have overhead plus the editor. So this is the display. Is it going to work? So wish me luck.
This code is in the 13.
Yeah, the code has changed. So I'm going to copy this. And you know what? I don't care about all of this. I haven't modified it. I'm just going to, paste it again. And there's going to be an error here, but I know how to fix it.
No
right?
spoilers.
So,
did you press it?
Wait.
There you go.
Wait, what? Please.
Okay. I mean, my takeaway from all of this is similar to what David and I ran up against, is that the answer is no. ChatGPT cannot write code for hardware yet.
It
That's
can.
my takeaway.
It can. And the way to do it is to Look, the beauty of MicroPython compared to what I said earlier, C++, you have to make sure that it's compiled into something that can run, but MicroPython is interactive. So you can get the real error, not the error of your compiler, not the one that scares you and will prevent you from even running wrong code onto your thing. Here, I can run wrong code and get something. So
Okay.
I take this something, and it's a highly iterative process. But in
Okay.
MicroPython, it's possible.
Okay.
So now I copy this. But look at this. Adjust GPIO pins as necessary. Right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so you know what? I copy this, and it's telling me, look, I have bad SEL pin. Bad SEL pin. So,
whatever the heck that means.
well,
I guess we can ask ChatGPT, what is a bad SEL pin?
Exactly. Now I'm gonna paste this error because ChatGPT will never run out of patience.
That's true. Well, except when it's like, you've exceeded the number of questions you're allowed to ask. You have to wait.
Pay it for more patience.
I've never been there, to be honest.
Oh, I get there a lot.
Okay, I don't pay for it, but like if I had this error, I would probably start paying for it. Okay, the error means
for it and it still does that.
Oh, you like it still does that? Oh,
I ask a lot of questions.
Okay, but we'll get to Olama in a bit. You can have your own local GPT.
Oh, good.
So that's the thing. Okay, so it says typically means that the specified pins are not valid for like, okay, what is a pin? Well, a pin is one of these pins that are literally, like inserted into my hardware. So I'm connecting a display with something else through 4 wires. And if you consider that to have a piece of electronics work, you need to power it. And to power it, you don't need to be an engineer because everyone has used a battery. And a battery has a plus and a minus. It's pretty much common knowledge. If you put a battery in reverse, it won't work. And there is a plus and a minus literally printed on the battery. So you know that a battery has 2 ends. It doesn't matter on the shape of the battery, right? So I have 4 wires. Eventually, 2 of these are used for power, and the other 2 are used for something else. And this something else is this talking to this. So you have 2 wires, and I don't want to explain you the protocol that happens behind that thing, but you have 2 wires, so you can kind of consider them like the telephone. I'm doing this gesture, but if we have much younger audience, they do like, what is this guy doing? Anyway, so these 2 wires are to talk between the computer, like the little computer and the screen. So these 2 are 2 pins. And you know what? I need to figure out what pins. And maybe I can ask it a more precise question. It says, I am using an Arduino Nano RP2040 Connect. And this is written at the back of the board that I have acquired. Which pins should I use? Because I don't know. And he says, you know what? You need SCL A5 and SDA A4, GPIO 27 and 26. And look at this. Adjust GPIOs as necessary. So SCL A5, GPIO 27. I'm going to try this because I don't know. And GPIO 26. And now I'm going to try and run this again. And it says, oh, bad SCL pin again. So this is not doing what it needs.
So Ubi, you're going to have to be a guest again. You realize?
Oh, are we running out of time?
That's the outcome of this experiment is you're going to have to be a guest again.
Honestly, it would be an honor. But so, I am trying to iterate through this thing, and it's not doing its job, and I don't know why, because it's asking me this. But now Google is my friend. What is it, like Arduino Nano RP2040 pin out?
For some reason, your desktop is covering the Google. We can't quite see the window.
My desktop is, oh yeah,
Like your
because it's
literal physical desktop.
I think I always
There
do
we go.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have this, and you know what? I'm gonna look at this pin out. Yeah, give me the cookies. Okay, so this thing is telling me, no, it's wrong. You see, I go look for GPIO 26 and 27,
Oh,
and there's something else.
so it was lying to you. It was just
It is
giving you
exactly
completely false information.
Okay, this is a big problem. We're gonna have to like get Sam Altman on our show here and be like, dude, if you're gonna if you don't know the answer, you gotta say, I'm not exactly sure, but I think
no.
There's a huge controversy. Like, part of the controversy is this, but I remember that ChatGPT told me that I need A4 and A5 because it's an Arduino, right? So I'm going to say A4 and A5. So A4 is data, and A5 is a clock. So A4 is GPIO 12 and 13. And I'm going to try this, SCL 13 and 12, and I'm going to try again the same code, and I'm going to keep trying. And this is, now I have a different error. And this error means I cannot find the screen. So I'm going to unplug, I'm going to replug, and I'm going to try again, and I get the same error. Maybe it's a power issue, because this code should be working. Because it's the code that I use.
Hey, wait a second. You mean you already tried it? I thought this was a brand
No. I remember the pins from my students.
Got it.
Right. So like, I was playing dumb, but
yeah.
I wasn't fully dumb. I'm gonna try another screen, because this might actually be a broken screen.
So Kelly, two things. Number one, earlier you said like saying, how comes the device doesn't have an UBI inside it? I think we should call our thing, our interface with the hardware is going to become UBI. We're going to call it UBI. And
I think already exists. So.
Yeah. We're going to make a thing that says UBI inside on the side of the box.
Yeah.
And secondly,
like the good old days of Intel.
Yeah. We need to replay this entire thing that we did today. But instead of UBI cosplaying as an artist, we need to get a real novice who's never done this before in here to try and walk them through it and see in real life without all the I actually know how to do everything aspect. We need to see what happens if a real novice tries it, I think.
For me, please.
We would be dead in the water on more than one point, but I think that these exercises are absolutely invaluable for the creative hardware community, because this is reality. Well, and I want to say again, the fact that ChatGPT gives these like extremely well-written, mercurial responses to questions, as though it knows exactly what it's talking about, with no indication anywhere that perhaps it doesn't actually know what it's talking about. That is so dangerous.
Yeah.
It is dangerous, but it also is it has a big educational, it has a teaching with it, right? So the generation I belong to, and David and I grew up with computers, and we had to figure out a lot of stuff because Google did not exist until, what was it, 2005, 4, something like it. And we used to buy.
I know I look like I'm 26, but I'm actually older than you.
But you were not a coder. You were not a programmer.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you started with computers in like college time, right, Kelly? Like you weren't doing it when you were 3. Were
No,
you?
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. But
So,
we're all about the same age. Yeah. I mean, I was I took coding with John Maida at the MIT Media
Oh
Laboratory
my
back in
God! Like
1998.
my idol. Like
It was pretty
my
cool.
my highest achievement was when John Maeda tweeted one of my projects.
Yeah.
And that for
He's
me was like,
amazing.
okay, I have a screenshot. I still have a screenshot for that. So
Yeah.
the teaching is this, like David and I used to buy massive computer books and we had to read through them, right? And nowadays, if you think about it, the way that frameworks and access to already made pre-cooked things has made life easy for engineers in general. For artists it's good, but for engineers it's not good, because many engineers do not learn unless they do CS, right? Like many software engineers do not learn what it takes to give them that single command that creates a website.
Oh
Because
yeah, yeah.
nowadays,
Oh, you're 100%. I am so with you. I understand why they have to abbreviate things, but I am so with you. This is why I'm an analog electrical artist. I build
so
circuits from scratch.
you want to learn
Everything. Yeah.
how the electrons move and slow down and accelerate in your
I
circuit.
want to learn what the heck computers are.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is electricity as a medium? Like, where does this
yeah.
all come from? Yeah.
So the teaching in here is that this thing has been able to get you some code that honestly it should be working, because I know that this code should be working.
you try it with
But
it.
there
It didn't
is,
work with the new screen either.
sorry?
It didn't work with the new screen.
No, it didn't. I get this, like EIO means I can ask GPT, of course, but like
Maybe it doesn't
what
like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
this mean?
Do you
No,
I
have
like
mean,
this is
how could it not like Taylor Swift? Come on.
Do you have another script that you can just run just to test the OLED? Just an example.
yeah, I do. But now I messed up the library.
Mm.
So let me check.
Or we could just go back
Oh,
to making it blink an LED. The conclusion of our live stream will be like, ChatGPT can write code to blink an LED. Woohoo!
Well, speaking
blinking
of,
the LED is really easy,
I know.
because so now the important thing is this. We have given, that the context is local, right? Like if I close this chat and I create a new chat, whatever I asked about in the current chat is forgotten. So you
right.
will not learn things.
Yeah.
Even if you can specifically say, from this moment on, remember that I'm using an Arduino Nano RP2040. And he will say, yes, I will remember, but it's a lie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, no, this is another really important thing that David and I were
yeah.
looking into last week. Even within the context of a single conversation, it can reference former words and concepts from that conversation, but it's not learning anything.
It's not learning. It's
No,
not learning because the model is pre-built with several billions
exactly.
of
Exactly.
vectors in there.
Exactly.
And if you want to insert that, you need to split open the whole model. You need to give it the new information. You need to rebuild it. And that's where the world's electricity is going these days.
Well, and so, you and I before we hopped on this call, we had a brief conversation about, what's under the hood of AI, what's inside of these large language models. And I am ever more, I mean, we obviously want to get back to getting these like very basic, nuts and bolts, craft oriented. When I say craft, I mean like the craft of making electronic art. We want to get that working and debugged. And talking to you today has been such an enormous help in that direction.
Thank
But
you.
we also need to get some guests on here to talk about what in the heck is under the hood of a large language model.
Yeah.
So I have a question
Like
real quick. So
please.
we're coming up on the 1 hour mark, which is twice as long as we usually do, but I think it's very valuable to get into all this stuff while we're together. Should we keep going with the llama stuff, or should we do a second thing a different time? Which do we want?
My vote would be like, Ubi, would you be willing to come back?
100%. Like I love, you
Yes.
should know by now that I love talking to David, or we wouldn't be,
Okay.
always talking every couple of weeks. And you are an incredible host with like, can I tell you something? I absolutely love your accent. And where are you from? Because I don't know. Where is your accent from?
Are you asking me or David?
Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Oh, I'm from North Carolina.
Okay, I love the way that it sounds. I wanted to ask you before the call, but just beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.
Good old Southern girl.
But North Carolina is extremely not Southern compared to Southern.
Oh,
Southern.
Careful now. We don't want it. We've had such a nice time. Let's not fight at the end of our call.
All right.
All right. Cool.
So is this the conclusion that we couldn't get an OLED display to work even with our MicroPython LLM daily practitioner?
To me, there's so much more here. We are unpacking the reality of working with AI and hardware in a way that is so much more instructional to our audience than just being like, here, boom, it all works, because it's not true. So let's just keep unpacking it, keep visiting it. Ubi, you can go and, bang on it a little bit, maybe figure out why it's
David knows that I will. David knows 100% that I will.
Okay, cool. Go talk to your colleagues at Arduino and be like, guys.
Actually, we're doing some interesting stuff with AI internally. Cool. I'm not going to divulge anything, but everyone is looking at AI, and I think for code assistive coding, the way that Microsoft has done it with Copilot is super interesting, and I think people can leverage that potential. Still, don't ever fully trust a machine to tell you what to do with your life.
Okay.
I think that's a great place to end it.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.